do whatever you want to create. So if you want to become more feminine or whatever it is, what are the actions that you have to do to make that happen for yourself? What are your goals? Like, are you being realistic about where your goals are? Maybe they're sooner than what you think. If there's something in your life that's bugging you or you're tolerating, you have the power to change it. Like, you really do. And I think that as women, we get so emotional and so irritated and so mad. And when you kind of step out of your feelings for a minute and you're like, why is this my story? And how can I change this? What do you want in life? Reverse engineer it to get there. And that's how you really create the life of your dreams. And is a constant hustle and work.
Ladies, raise your standards. This is number one. Raise your standards. Do not settle. Do not stay somewhere that doesn't feel good, because you have an option. Just like many of the guests that we've heard, you don't have to stay stuck and you can keep moving, and whatever you want, you can create for yourself. You just have to decide if you want to stay there or go somewhere else and take the action to get there. Hello and welcome to another episode of Unapologetically Rich. I'm your host, Shamina Taylor. And today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Danielle White. Danielle, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Unapologetically Rich, the show for high-achieving women who refuse to settle. I've helped over 51 women become millionaires and multimillionaires. You're next. I'm here to unlock the next level of wealth, freedom, fulfillment, and feminine power. So hit the follow button, share this with every woman who needs to hear it, and get ready, because every week we're diving deep and rising higher. This is the Unapologetically Rich Show. Are you ready? Let's get to it.
I had you on my podcast, and then I was like, when am I coming on yours?
Exactly. And so Danielle lives out here in Miami, and I got to go to her beautiful home and record there. And I said, when I'm back in town, I'd love to have you on mine. So, you know, what I love about Danielle is she's a powerful woman that's running her own business, that just had a baby not too long ago. When I say just, because, you know, some of us we had a baby, but our kids are like 18 and 19, and we didn't just. But she literally just had a baby. And she's also married to Garrett White, and she does all the things, wears all the hats, and she's probably one of the realest moms I've met in a long time that are in this business. And so tell me, Danielle, obviously you didn't start here where you're at, and when we've discussed things before, a lot of what you have shared is trying to find who Danielle is in the mix of things. But tell me, like, how did you get to where you are now? Like, you started out like a hairdresser, right? Yeah.
So I always say I'm a hairstylist by trade, but had to become so much more. So about 15 years ago, Garrett and I lost everything when the market crashed.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, what am I going to do? I do hair, and I had 2 young daughters at the time. And I just remember feeling very lost at that moment, and didn't think of somebody that could be a producer, because I really valued being a mom and being a wife. And so it was interesting because Garrett literally was making, like, we were just at rock bottom. Like, to the point where, like, our cars were getting repossessed. Wow. We had tapped into every single credit card. I had to pick and choose, what do I want to pay, the lights or what bill do I want to pay? I mean, it was pretty dark, you know? And I still was like, how can I help? What am I going to do? And I actually had just had my second daughter. So she was like little tiny baby. And Garrett said, why don't you create a brand? And this was 15 years ago, when, like, there was no TikTok, there was no Instagram. People didn't just, like, create a brand. I'm like, so I'm a hairstylist, and I'm thinking, I'm not Vidal Sassoon, I'm not Paul Mitchell. Right. Like, who am I to create a brand, and what does that even mean? So he kind of was like my coach even in the very beginning. Even though our marriage was not super solid at that point, he was always encouraging me to kind of find myself. And I always think it's important for moms to understand, like, your kids are your purpose, but they shouldn't be your only purpose. And for me, if my kids are my only purpose, I almost get kind of like just resentful and not as good of a mom as I could be. So I've always wanted something for myself, which at the time was doing hair, but I never took it serious. It was just like a hobby, you know? So when, you know, losing everything and deciding to create a brand, I realized I had created a system of hair extensions that was, like, super unique. I have really fine, crappy, fragile hair. And
Same.
like so many women out there. And there's always the whisper that they're going to ruin your hair, they're going to damage your hair, and all these things. And so the first 10 years of my career was me just trying to figure out what could work for my hair. And then I was like, wow, if this can work for my hair, it can work for hundreds of women. But again, I didn't, you know, I kind of just felt like it was something I created over 10 years of experience, but never thought of it could be a brand. So then my husband said, well, you do extensions and you kind of created your own system. Why don't you create your first online course? Why don't you start doing education?
Wow.
So that's kind of how it all started, 15 years ago for me. Is I just was so nervous to put myself out there, to be honest with you. I was like, I'm an introvert.
Because you're introvert.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I'm on camera all the time. I'm speaking on stages. And I always say, well, introverted is who you are. But it just takes reps on camera and putting yourself out there. And
Putting the reps in.
Yeah, and being willing to communicate a message. And I always say in the beginning, you're going to suck. But that's how every new skill goes. And the more you do it, the better you get. So that's kind of where I started. And I had no idea, what I was doing. I just knew that I had to go. I had to kind of have a little bit of faith and just put myself out there. So that's
You're figuring it out how you went along.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still figuring it out. I grew my hair company over the last 15 years to an 8-figure business.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm still looking to go to the next level.
Aren't we all?
I mean, that's the thing is that's what this life is about. It's about the success and the money, but it's really about the growth.
What does the next level for you feel and look like? Do you have the vision for it already right now?
Yes, I feel like there's always a next version of us ready to unfold.
Especially women who are high performers, high achievers.
Right.
They always know there's something else. There's something more. Because you hit that thing and you're like, this feels great, but there's more.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, and not just for women, but for all producers, when you get in this hustle and this grind and you feel all this fulfillment from building something and the person you become, it's very purpose-driven, it's very satisfying. And a lot of entrepreneurs, maybe they sell their company or they build it up and then they're like, oh shit, now what am I gonna do with the rest of my life?
Yes.
They actually hit the flip side, and I experienced this myself where I kind of handed off all of my business to other people to run it, and I could sit home and be a mom. And this is how I knew I was like, I'm meant to do more, because I actually went into a really bad depression. And it was after my she's 3 now, but it was after my 3-year-old. I just was like, what is wrong with me?
Was it postpartum?
It was postpartum, but it also was, I was in this weird space where my hairline, I have a hand-tied hairline that was doing great. I had a salon that was being managed. I had an academy with over 500 students in there. That I had coaches fulfilling. I was just in this place where I love coaching and growing and learning, and I let everybody else do it for me. And it was right after my 3rd baby, so I'm sure it was postpartum, but also even after the postpartum went away, that's when I got into bikini competitions.
Okay.
Got in the best shape of my life, and I still was like, why do I feel hollow? What is missing?
Fulfillment's missing.
Yeah, and growth. I'm like, there's always another level. People it doesn't matter if you have an 8-figure business, $100 million business. There's always it's about the money, but it's not. And there's always a new level of you that can unfold at every level.
Yeah, I love that. So what do you do to cultivate that next level of you? When you know that you have that feeling something new is coming out, what is your process?
Just kind of go with it. I mean, for me,
do you read? Are you taking courses? Where are you putting yourselves? Yesterday Elena was on here earlier, and actually almost every woman that sat there on the show has said, there's another next level of me emerging right now. And so she, shared what she's doing. But everybody, when you feel that next level, it feels like you're not fulfilling your potential. So you need to go for the more and be the greatest version of yourself. Right. So how does that look like for you? Because it'll keep you stuck in that status quo instead of thriving more, right?
Yeah, I think for me, it's really stepping outside of your comfort box.
Absolutely.
And everybody has a comfort box, like you do. You can be like, I can get on stage and speak to 1,000 hairdressers and do hair with my eyes closed. And then Garrett's like, hey, you're gonna come speak at my Man on the Arena thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm super nervous, So it's this piece of me that it's like, oh, it's scary and I'm comfortable, but the cost of being comfortable is more painful than just doing it. So I kind of go into it and I still battle with this all the time where I'm like, I don't want to go do this because it's scary. It's unknown. Oh, I don't want to go try to put on this event because what if nobody shows up? There's always this kind of fear of failure. But I think, honestly, if you go all in and commit and you learn and grow, that's how you become the bigger version of you.
Absolutely.
So you can kind of have a glimpse. I always say everybody has a natural knowing of who they are. It's our job and our responsibility to do the steps to get there. Truthfully. So for me, I don't really have any tactics other than it's I think women are very intuitive.
Yeah.
And we have this kind of this feeling that comes up and we can't ignore it. So if you keep feeling the prompt to go, then you just need to figure out where to go. Last year, the beginning of the year, I got a prompt that God was like, hey, I want you to start reaching out to people. Again, I'm kind of introverted. And I was like, I want you to redo your podcast. I need you to start bringing people into your world. But I had this fear of rejection of, if I invited Shamina, what if she says no? Right? And so forever I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm the queen of the hair world. I don't want to go to this other world because that's scary. And so I was like, no, God said, I need you to go put yourself out there and I will align you with powerful people. And when the timing is right, opportunities will open. And that's really what has happened for Garrett and I this past year. And even Garrett's kind of opened up and had tons of new opportunities. So I think a lot of times we're scared to share our light. We're scared to be that bigger version of ourselves. But the thing that helps me the most is, I would say,
also, if you have not got your ticket for the Wealth Consciousness event in Chicago, it is October 2nd and 3rd. And this event is not like one of those events where you go to and there's just tons of speakers and you're just in the audience, just getting your ear talked off. It is a transformative event. So what does that mean? You are looking to get your $1 million a year, or maybe you're looking to make your next $5 million or whatever it is. It's an up-leveling 2-day transformation. So you're going to go in there. We're going to do workshop events. What is that going to mean? Well, we're going to first start with the identity work, which I think is really, really important. Some of the exercises that we did last year, at our event, which were really transformative, and we showed how in real time, why people are afraid to actually even have more money or to create more wealth. And we showed you, so you can identify, hey, these are the things that I'm doing right now in real time. What that does is it helps with the implementation process. It helps with you integrating and embodying that next level of wealth. When you join our programs, you do get to that level, but when you're in the room, you can implement, integrate, and embody so much faster. So we're going to take you and your business to that next level. We're going to talk about how you grow your brand and what are the important things about growing your brand, how you're going to attract your high premium client. But also we're going to go into what is it that can create the most amount of wealth for you so you can work less and make more. A lot of the times people are at capacity and they don't know how to really let in more wealth. But what we're going to do in these 2 days is we're going to walk you through our transformative process so that you're just not getting information, but you're getting an opportunity to integrate through our very unique framework so that you can integrate the things that you're learning in real time. And one of the things is when you do something, your nervous system gets regulated faster. When you're able to perform an activity in real time, the nervous system gets regulated for big money. Also, what happens is whatever fears that people usually have around money that creates money leaks or is not really helping you expand up into that next level of power, in real time, what's going to happen is you're going to start rewiring your neural pathway. So you're not going to have a fight or flight, response system when it comes to money. You're going to be able to open up for more cash and more wealth to flow in. So this is transformation plus integration, implementation, and embodiment. These 2 days, you're going to be able to be in the room. And listen, when you're in a level of consciousness around other people, I'll give you an example. When you're meditating and you're meditating by yourself, there's one level of consciousness. You get in a room and you're meditating with 600 other people, your level of consciousness expands faster. Well, think about it that way with wealth consciousness. You get to expand faster at a rapid rate with other people in the room that are also elevating their consciousness. You're going to transform in 2 days way faster than if you stayed at home and did it on your own. So that's why you need to be in the room. That's why you need to get a ticket. All right. We hope to see you there. I think we have 4 VIP tickets left. Get in the room so you can get coached by me with hot seat coaching. Imagine if I can get to the root of one of your issues really fast, or even identify an issue you didn't even know that's holding you back from your, $100,000 or even $1 million months. We want to see you there. So go grab your ticket.
Okay. Who am I not impacting?
Ooh, that's really good. That's really good. Cause there's
somebody waiting.
Yeah, there's somebody waiting to hear that message from you. And you guys did a massive transformation. You don't just do in the middle of your marriage where you're like, hey, I'm going to leave California and come to Miami. But you must have got the vision and the call to do it.
Well, that's the thing is
Was it you?
It was me. But it's funny, we started coming here a couple years ago, and we had built most of our businesses in California. We'd been there for 10 years. And I just kept getting this nudge to go. And I'm like, what? I have 5 children. Who takes their 5 children and moves across the country? And I just kind of kept pushing it away. Mind you, that was the same year that I was almost starting to feel more and more depressed. I didn't have purpose, what's going on? And I just got to this place where I told Garrett, I said, I think we need to move to Miami. I have this nudge of let's just see what happens. We had our dream home in California. This massive.
I was supposed to go to that home.
Oh, you didn't go?
No, I didn't get a chance because
it was amazing. It was our dream house. I was like, we're going to live in this forever, and so for me, I had to let go of my dream house, right?
Wow, that's huge.
Right when you think you've made it and you're like, yeah, where am I going to go? God's like, give it back to me. And I'm like, really? And so the crazy thing is when I was scared to share this with Garrett because I was like, maybe, 10 years from now we'll get a home in Miami and that'll be our second home. And I share my feelings with Garrett and he's like, wow, that actually feels really right.
Wow.
So we put our house up for sale. Mind you, it's a $25 million home. Those don't go real fast. We put our house up for sale, and the first people who come through it offer us a cash buy. And I was like, well, we're moving. So that's what's crazy. Like, I believe, like, when you actually take the next step, it unfolds exactly how it should. And the dots line up.
Everything moves in order to support you in that decision that you made. I do agree. So maybe when you were in the stuckness, it's because you weren't honoring the voice you were hearing. Yeah. It was just reminding you how stuck you were because you weren't. It's not going to show you the opportunities because you're not opening up to receiving them because you're in the stuckness, right?
Well, what I kept telling myself, because like we had our dream cars, our dream house, I had 5 beautiful children. I was like, no, I need to just be grateful. Which, yes, you should be grateful, but you should never settle in the space of gratitude because it will keep you from growing.
Yeah, I love that.
So it's a balance of like being grateful, but knowing you got to go. And so I almost was like, no, you should be grateful for where you're at. How dare you want more than all the fancy cars and the jewelry and this? And I was like, I got to this point where I was like, fuck it, I'll give it all away then. And literally, I think that's kind of what, for me, like your show, Unapologetically Rich is like, yes, the success is important, but that's not what being rich is.
Right. Okay, well, let's get on it. What's your definition of rich?
For me, like one of the things that Garrett teaches in his business is like, I hate the word balance, but it's at some level, it is balance. It's like body being balanced, relationship, everything. Like you have to pour into all these levels of your relationship because they're all intertwined. So for me, being rich, it's like, yes, I do want the success. I'm not going to lie. I think that you can have great reach.
I love that you said that because I feel like people who don't have money, the ones that say they don't want money.
Yeah, they're like, I don't value that. And you're like, well, then you're playing small because you can,
basically.
Like, you don't believe in yourself enough then because you need money to make impact.
Yes, you do.
So yeah, I just think it's important. Like, yes, I want the money. And I believe that will come. But even how many people have so much money and are super depressed?
Absolutely. So rich means different things to different people. It's not just about money.
Right.
Right.
So I think for me, it is about having the success, but it's also about having a good relationship with your husband, good relationship with your children. You know, it's having the body you want. It's a little bit of everything. To me, that feels very fulfilling. And I can always tell in one area of my life if I'm not rich in that moment, meaning like, why do I feel disconnected with Garrett? Okay, I got to go pour more love and attention into him. Okay, why do I feel like the mom guilt? Okay, I need to go pour, it's not really balance. It's like understanding what needs to be fueled right now. So for me, that is being wealthy, that is being rich, and also pursuing the biggest version of you always.
Yes.
Because the thing is people think like, oh, it's just my kids. I'm like, no, it's your entire bloodline. Like when you think how big it is for you to become the person you are, because some people might say, well, I'm not going to become a billionaire. I'm not going to become a multimillionaire. And I'm like, okay, well, what if you're really good with your balance with your kids and your family and you give up addictions and all this? Now, what impact is that going to have on your entire bloodline? That too is success.
That's what I define it as. It really, it's like looking at my children, how much I poured into them after my divorce, and having to make sure that they were emotionally stable, like or even beyond that, and making sure that they weren't impacted negatively from the divorce was really. We talked about this before. Is really important to me, and I look at my kids, and they're so happy and healthy and emotionally mastered, and their emotional intelligence to me is like the most important thing because now I've changed our timeline. Right. I stopped generational trauma with me. And so that to me is really, really important, but also create a generational wealth so that you can see what's possible, which you're showing your children right now. Right. You wear so many hats. Like you must get tired at some point. Hats. I mean, you really like, everybody wants a piece of mom. Yeah. Garrett wants his wife and the kids want their mom. Your students and your clients want you. And then there's like Danielle, who's like, I just want to just sit on this bed for a moment and just chill out, It's interesting because people are like, oh, you do so many things. But I have been in spaces inside of my career where I've hit burnout. You know what I mean? And then it's just about prioritizing and making space. So what do you do for that?
So like, I'll give you an example. So for me, I'm complaining about these long hours at the salon and this and that when I'm building my teams and all this. And then I'm like, literally just like, screw this. I don't want to do this anymore. Like Garrett can pay the bills. I don't know why I'm doing this anymore. Because at that point he was building Wake Up Warrior and we were starting to see success. So I'm like, why am I working these long hours? And then I'm like, you know what? Like if I want to have my purpose and my passion, why don't I just do a price increase? And I think that women get so in their feelings, that if you just take a second and look at the facts, you can literally rewrite and create whatever you want. So this is actually when my brand even took off, as I was like, why am I working these long hours? Why am I following the narrative of what my industry tells me to do when I can create whatever I want? And so I literally remember it was like one night coming home late, the kids are in bed, crying on the floor, picked myself back up, was like, okay, I'm gonna look at my numbers and my clients and who's gonna go and who's gonna come in within 6 months. I remember tripling my income as an artist behind the chair, because I just made the decision that I don't wanna burn out in this one area and that I wanna have it all, which meant I wanted to pick my kids up from school, which meant I wanted to go on those date nights with my husband, but I wasn't willing to sacrifice and say, oh, well, then I can't work and make the money. I was like, no, I will have the success and create the balance in my life. So for me, like, that's how I do it. Is you'll hear a lot of women, you'd be like, I'm working and I'm the mom. I'm like, well, then figure out how to make more, work less, and do both roles.
Hello, this is what we teach on this show. So, and this is what I teach in my whole world. And if you want to rewind and just listen to what Danielle just said, I think it's really, really important. She realized the time became her most valuable currency, not the money. So she also was at a level in her career where she's like, I can raise my pricing because I know that value and what I offer is amazing. So this is the first thing I have with women coming to work with me, all of them. It doesn't matter if you're a lawyer, doctor, doesn't matter what business you own. It's like everybody needs to increase their pricing, because I think a lot of people work for very little and they're trying to have volume, and then they don't have time for everyone else. So this is the lesson, if you can get it. She raised her pricing, so she had to work less, but she also lost probably clients that weren't aligned anymore, that weren't willing to pay. But then she called in clients that were willing to pay because they were higher level and they probably were less complaining, the less hassle, right? Less.
I got to work with who I wanted to.
Who you wanted to. So she got to design the business that she wanted to. And then she got time for her kids and for her husband. And she was making more money because she was working less, and he had premium offers. And I think that's something everybody needs to revisit in their business right now. What are you really charging the value of the work? Are you charging because of the limitation of what your money mindset or where your scarcity mindset is, and you're afraid of losing the business? Because at this point she wasn't.
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy. Like I said, I started thinking like, I'm a hairstylist. What can I do? And then I was like, well, I got to stop thinking like a hairstylist then.
Exactly.
You know?
And as a woman who is valuing herself, but as a business owner, and I think I had a client who was a hairstylist, and she came in, she was 20 years, she had been in the business. I don't have very many hairstylists, by the way, but she was the first time she'd made $100,000 in her own chair, on her own, without the rest of, and it was in 3 days she did it, but she had never done that before without her. She's like, oh, wait a minute. I need to, because I kept telling her, raise her pricing. So that was a click for her. And so she got to go to another level. And I said, you can train people for all the things that you're doing too, because she had a system, and how she installed hair. So it was different type of hair. But I mean, I don't think people think a little bit small. You came to a necessity. I mean, obviously your husband was working and it was different. You had a backup plan, but. Every
time I get there though, I'm sadly, I try to do it now before I hit burnout phase. Because sometimes I'm like, I get to this place where, like with burnout, and then I'm like, wait, why am I tolerating this?
That's right.
So now I try to recognize those things in my life sooner, where I'm like, okay, well, you have the power to change it.
What does it look like, though, for burnout for you? Like, so, I mean, because other people, I think women are in it, and they don't even realize they're in it until it's like too late, if that makes sense. Yeah,
for me, it's like even now, like I'll look at my week, some weeks I'm like, wow, this is a really busy week. But then I'll look at my next week and I'm like, okay, it's just busy for a minute, So for me, I try to not make sure my schedule is jam-packed, because I know myself. I know if I overcommit, that's when I start canceling, because I'm burning out. And so I'm like, I'm not going to overcommit myself. There's no reason to do that. It doesn't benefit me. In fact, it just makes me have anxiety and I'm more stressed out. So I just try to notice. I don't feel like I've gotten to that burnout phase like I did for a while.
Because you're managing it now.
Yeah, like I've done it so many. Hairstylists you talk to all the time, they're nuts. They will work like 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. They will take every service. They will not say no to anything.
I always say it's like that's hoeing yourself out though. Like when you're just nonstop working. Like at some point you've got to be like, no, I'm not going to say yes to everybody.
They do. And so I had hit that so many points in my career where I was like, I'm not doing that anymore.
So do you still do hair now?
For select guests, yes.
Well, I know somebody you do hair for, but I mean, because who you want to.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just doing it because who I want to do hair with.
And it's more fun for you to get your hands back into it again.
Exactly, yeah.
I got it. So how do you balance, growing your business? We'll get to your husband in part, but that being a mom, like you have a 3-year-old and, you're in your 40s, right? Yeah. And so that's not easy, because a 3-year-old they demand all the time. Like they don't understand. Wait.
It's a lot. I always joke around with Garrett. He's a great dad, and when the kids are being crazy, I look at them, I'm like, you did this to me.
Right.
You did this to me. But I had a gap in between my kids. So I had like, I have an 18-year-old and then I have a 14-year-old. So there was a 4-year gap between them.
But those ages aren't easy either.
I know. I always joke around. I'm like, literally have teenagers and toddlers right now.
No, it's like you have the worst.
But my 18-year-old, I just nudged her out. So she doesn't live with us anymore.
What?
Yeah. So
that's huge.
It's huge. And I told Garrett, I was like, oh my God, like a little bit less energy in the house is actually kind of nice. But the thing is though, I love my kids. Like I always knew, I always wanted 3. Like I had the 2, then I had an 8-year gap, and then I had my little Isla, and she's so freaking cute. She was my 2020 baby. And she was such a good baby that I was like, maybe I could have another one. And I was like, no, I'm getting too old. I shouldn't do that. And then Charlie was a surprise. She's my 4th. Okay. So
There's no more surprises?
There's no, I did like the way home from the hospital, Garrett went and got snipped. Like, I was like, let's pull over. No, we're good there. And then I have a stepson, Parker, who's 24. So yeah, no, it's, I always say we're like in the season of chaos, but we're going to miss this season.
You will.
Like
you will.
Literally, my babies climb in my bed every morning and at like 6 in the morning, they're like, I love you, mommy. And I'm like dead tired, but I'm like, you're so yummy. Like, so for me, I'm like, you know what? It's chaotic, but I know I will miss this stage.
I'm trying to put my daughter on my lap now. She's going to be 18, so she's like, Mom, this is so weird. I'm like, yesterday, I'm like, let's just lay down across me. And she's like, stiff as a board. She's like, because I took her to Miami. She's like, okay, are we done? Is this enough?
Yeah, you're like, no,
no, could you put your arms around me? Just like hang on me for a minute. Yeah. Because it is. I mean, your daughter, is she going off to college or what she's doing next?
She's pursuing music. She's a singer-songwriter, and she moved down here to Miami, and she's kind of doing that. She's actually working for me right now.
Good.
I kind of want to fire her, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's my daughter even said, she goes, Mom, we wouldn't last very long working together. Yeah. No, that's great though. I mean, I feel like that's promoting her to do what she wants to do. Yeah. So balancing that, and then you guys have, with Garrett, you have date night. So you guys really have to work really hard on keeping your marriage together. You had shared that before, that it was, you're in a great season now, but it wasn't always there. And I know a lot of women in my community, either their marriages or, the women haven't tapped into that feminine part where they can really allow the man to receive. They're very masculine. We talked about this before, where they're emasculating their husbands and not understanding how to receive or ask for help because they've been shut down. Yeah. And I feel like we talked about this on your podcast, where you're like, I maneuvered that part of me that was in that shut down, closed off heart phase,
That's the crazy thing is when I went into kind of business mode, I was really resentful at Garrett at the time because he was the provider and he didn't provide. And so, but at the time I was like, I have 2 kids. I have to make this work for the kids. And I think that if you're in a relationship, you owe it to at least give it a try. Right. So that was my mindset. If you're in a horrible relationship, then sure, then that's not right for you. But for me, I was like, I am not giving it my all, and I have kids, so I'm going to work on it. And so that's when actually, when our life and marriage was falling apart, that's when we had like no money, but we committed to doing one date night.
15 years ago?
Yeah. We were like, okay, let's try to rebuild our relationship. We'll do date nights every single week. But like I said, like I was building my business and kind of this more masculine side of me came out, because prior to that I was just like doing hair for fun. And I remember like I almost got into this like competitive nature with Garrett. And it was just like, well, I'm making more money. Well, I'm making more money. But I didn't really want that competitive nature. And so I would kind of like wall up and shut down. Oh, all the things. I was a quiet bitch. Like I'm not a real loud person, but I would definitely just shut down and kind of do my own thing. Part of me is why I was able to build my business in the beginning. I just kind of focused on that for a time period.
So were you the provider at one point then?
As I was building, I opened up a secret Wells Fargo account and stashed cash in there just in case things didn't work out.
You know what? A lot of women do that though. That's crazy.
I did. Well, I got to this place where I was like, I will never let this happen to me again. And
because you're losing your power.
Yeah. And I always say I think it's very important for a woman to value herself enough that if she doesn't stay married, that she's like, I know I can provide for myself.
Absolutely.
If you put all of that on your husband and you're like, then you have to be with him and you're very codependent and you're not open to communication and all these things because you're like, if shit goes sideways, what am I going to do?
Yeah, like she's desperately staying in a situation, and a lot of women do that though. Right. Their voice gets turned down. They have a fear of leaving, and so they stay in the toxicity instead of trying to make it work.
Because they get so painful that they're just like, I'll figure it out.
Right. Yeah.
So for me, it was definitely to this space where I with Garrett, I just was like, you know what? I'm actually naturally a pretty feminine person, and I don't like this ice queen version of myself. And I also realized it wasn't helping me out in the sense, because now he's acting like he's my bro, like instead of my husband, right?
Right.
Like the chemistry wasn't there, and I
Right.
just
Nobody
it was-
wants to have sex with their bro. Right,
Yeah, or if, like it was just like, here's a quickie, there you go,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah, it was like, thank you, bam, yeah, bam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am,
Well,
kind of
once a
things.
week, here you go,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. But we went through like a lot of therapy, and I realized I'm like, I don't know if I want to be this version of me with you either.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, so if I don't like this version of me with you, because he'd be like, oh, if we got divorced, you went and married another guy, you'd be totally different. I'm like, I probably would. I've got a lot of battle wounds with you. And so I just kind of
grew up together.
I would say we kind of raised each other. I met when I was
Yeah.
18.
This only man you've been with, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
all. That's all you know.
literally.
Yeah. I mean,
But it took some work. I mean, I almost had to like tap into my feminine side, and like just little things.
how'd you do it?
Like when he would come home, I'm just like, hey babe, how are you? Good to see you.
Men
Hug.
love that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's all they
it's
ask
like
for.
the simplest thing.
Yeah, just give me a kiss and like let me
Yeah.
come home, relax, ask
Yeah.
me how my day is.
Exactly.
Maybe have a meal for me. That would be great.
Exactly.
So small, simple things.
Little things.
Yeah.
And I just realized, I was like, okay, I'm just going to tap into these little daily habits and see if it does anything. And like I said, date nights was great for us because it allowed us to have conversations outside of the kids. Because having conversations at the dinner table with the kids there is not the same as like,
It's
hey,
chaotic.
let's get out of here and actually have a good conversation. And a lot of our dinner nights in the very beginning when we were working on us, we fought a lot. You know, we were just trying to like figure things out. But it was me making the conscious effort to shift, and also him making the conscious effort to shift to really like see each other for who we are.
Yeah, I love that. So as you guys are growing together, you have to really fall in love with that new version of that person that's coming out too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably moments that when he was developing into his version that he is now, you're like, I don't know if I mean, with the kids these days are calling it the ick. So, you know, like sometimes if a guy gives you the ick, you're like, oh, I don't even know if I can get over this ick, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, he must have been going through a transitional stage of like, I like this, I don't like that. I mean, you must have been giving him feedback along the way, right? Of like,
Yeah, I mean, he's a strong personality, but it was.
and you are too, though. I
I
mean,
am
but
too.
in a
I'm
different
just- I'm
way.
a different- I'm
You're
definitely-
different, strong. I mean, don't.
Yeah.
I mean, you get what you want. I already know that.
I've had to become better at communication, and I think this
Okay.
is one thing with women. It's like they have, and I don't care if you're introvert or not introvert, loud, not loud. What we do is it's like, I don't want to ruffle the feathers. I used to think that support meant just like, let him go work, don't talk about my feelings. And it got to this place where, again, that resentment started to build up. And so I'm like, oh, I actually have to communicate when I'm like, hey, you're working a lot. Can we figure it out?
How long do you wait till that happens, or do you do it immediately now, or like?
Now I try to do it immediately. In the past, I had to have a conversation a couple years ago with Garrett that I was like, I don't come to you with a lot of my thoughts and feelings because of your reactivity. Like he tries
to fix it right away, right?
He's just a reactive man.
Okay.
Like I could say something like, I'm thinking I'm bringing it up like very sweet, and he's triggered and he's like, wow, and it like starts an argument. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to argue, so maybe I just won't share my feelings.
Again, if you haven't got your ticket to the Wealth Consciousness event, it's October 2nd and October 3rd. This is going to be an event that's going to basically fast track your result. This is when you're not just getting information, but you're going to be able to implement, integrate, and embody your next level of wealth consciousness in this 2-day immersive event. We take you through active in-person workshopping that help you regulate your nervous system in real time, rewire your neural pathways for big money. And this is so like, even if you were making $1 million a year, this is like, so there's no income leaks, there's no other places where money is leaving, but you're actually making it from a state of abundance and wealth consciousness, not just from the hustle, but really showing you how to move into that higher level of consciousness around money. This is why it's called the Wealth Consciousness event, because it's an experience of having you expand into the more. And if you're working towards your first million or your first 5 million, this also is going to help you create wealth faster. We're going to talk about you and your business, and we're going to talk about how you can expand into the more, how you can live a life that is filled with abundance. This is not just going to transform you, it's going to transform your business, your family, your team, and your friendships. You're going to probably meet your best friend in the room. It is a high level event. We do have a couple of VIP tickets left. Go ahead, grab your ticket, bring your business bestie, or come and visit and meet your bestie in that room. And this is going to be an event that really helps you fast track your results so that you can integrate, implement, and embody. This is not just for information. People go to events, get a lot of information, but they don't do anything about it. I want you to leave this event with implementation. This is why a lot of women start having their highest cash months, or they go cut their hair right when they land because they're like, they've been transformed. I want that for you. I've seen this happen again and again throughout our events. I know and trust this process. Come be there and have the elevation, have the expansion. It's waiting for you. You know your next level self is out there.
So for me, it was like I would let it like brew up, and then I'd be like, bah, and he'd be like, whoa, where'd this come from?
Yeah, because you just pop off at the end. You're like, he's like, where'd this come from?
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, you're like,
So
did you know how I was feeling?
Yeah.
You know?
And I think a lot of women do
We
that.
do.
And like I said, I think I was doing it in also where I was like, oh, I don't want to like bug him with my feelings. But now I try to do it a lot quicker. Like now, like even this morning, I was like, hey, you said something. It's kind of bugging me. And you're gonna come home and you're gonna feel the weird energy, so I'm just gonna like tell you.
That's great.
And he texts me back, he's like, wow, thanks for sharing communication. Like, that's great, we need to keep doing this. I'm like, and the whole time I'm like, oh, I don't know if I should send him this message. I'm like, hey, you said something, it triggered me. I kind of bottled it up, but it's not going away, it's still bugging me. And then he was like, well, that's not what I meant. Here's what I was feeling. So I think we're in a good space, but communication in marriage is so, so important.
I mean, we expect them to know what we're thinking and feeling at all times. And it's just,
not
men aren't wired like that all the time,
no.
you know, and we have intricate things of how we think about and feel about. And you are such a strong woman that you just take care of everybody.
Yeah.
And so you've probably put yourself last in a lot of ways over the years, and realizing, you know what, if I don't put myself first, then other people are getting affected by this, correct?
Yeah. That's one thing over the last probably like 5 years. Like after having my two kids back to back, I was like, whew, okay, like I need time for me. That's why I love working out. It's kind of like my me time.
Really the best time.
My morning time when I take the kids to school or the nanny comes and gets them. Like I definitely have help. In the beginning with my first two kids, I didn't have a lot of help. I couldn't afford it and that kind of thing. And so as I got older, I was like, I don't want to feel resentful of my husband and all these things. I do need space for me. And so I think that women have a hard time. They get in kind of like a guilty space of like, I can't take time for me. I want to serve everybody else. And I'm like,
they do.
I'm like, but if you don't take care of you, like I said, for me, it's literally working out. I work out 5 days a week. I get my nails done. I get my lashes done. I go shopping every once in a while. Like I do those things for me.
I think it's important though. You brought up something that I think that a lot of women don't know how. They want to do it themselves. It's just faster if I do it. It's just easier if I do it. Or they're worried about the money, even though they have the money. They're worried about, spending the money and hiring help when they can just get it done fast. I always say that those aren't like. Doing your laundry is not a money-making move, you know, or even cooking. It depends if you love it.
Right.
Or going to the grocery store. Like nobody should be going to the grocery store at this point, at this stage of life, you know, especially if you're running a business. Those are things that you delegate out and you leverage your time. So do you feel like you're really good at receiving support? Because I think that's one of the things that they're working towards, at least the women in my community, of allowing themselves to receive support and asking for it.
I actually think, I actually do receive a lot of help. Like,
you ask for it though.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. I'm like, I know I have my business. I know I have my children. I know I want time for me. I have no problem with cleaners and all that. Way back in the day, like with my first two kids, same. I'd be like, I can do it better and faster. But then you're always stuck doing these low-level jobs that you could essentially train somebody out to do it. And I'll tell you, my biggest shift in that is, as a salon owner, I didn't have an assistant for like 10 years of my career because I was like, they're going to slow me down. They can't do it right. Like,
can't do it like you.
They can't do it like me. They're going to cost me money, blah, 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 blah. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe that's my story, right? Because we always have these stories. And so then I was like, I hired my first assistant and he sucked. And it's because I sucked as a trainer and a leader. Then I was like,
so true.
I was like, okay, well, I got to if I want to eventually delegate out help, then I have to train these people to do so. So then my next assistant, they were actually pretty good. Then my next assistant was really good. Now I'm at this place, I go, you can give me any assistant. And I believe in myself as a trainer that I'm like, anybody who comes and works with me, I'm like, wow, you did a great job. As long as I didn't just like start here yesterday. But
because of your leadership.
Because of my leadership. And I literally am really good, like, hey, do it like this, do it like this. And I like walk them through it. Where in the beginning, I'd be like, what the hell? Why don't you know how to do this?
Right. You had expectations, but you also delegated with expectations and you train them.
Yes.
Because I think that's a missing piece though. Like people think if someone comes on, they're supposed to know exactly what they're supposed to do to
Right.
help you. That's why SOPs are really important in your
Right.
business and in your
I was
life.
gonna say it applies to
Everything.
everything. Like you can't just hire somebody out to do your marketing.
No.
Like what is your messaging? You can't hire out your cleaners and they folded stuff wrong. You train them how to do it.
Exactly. And if something doesn't feel right, that's when you have to speak up and course correct as you're going along.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of women don't like that friction. They
Yeah.
do the same thing that you were talking about because I think it's like a default. I'm just not going to say anything and I'm just going to wait
Right.
till it blows up and then it becomes an issue instead of confrontation is really hard for them because I don't think a
Yeah.
lot of women have regulated their nervous system around being able to feel that anxiousness of what if people don't like me? I mean, you must have been able to get over that feeling of what if they don't like me? I mean, you went beyond out of your whole family spectrum, you know, and where
Yeah.
you've gone. And so you had to face a lot of moments where you were the black sheep or not doing
Yeah.
everything. I mean, right?
Here's the thing I say, don't let the noise affect you too much. But we're all human, and there's still to this day where like things will happen in the business of past employees and things like that. And I'm like, I mean, you get big enough in this game, people start coming after you. They want you to lose. It is their number one purpose and goal for you to lose. And it's hard. You're like, wow, I gave you everything. I gave you everything. But if you sit and dwell on that, then you can't really focus on your purpose. So for me, it's people.
How did you overcome that though? I mean, because you didn't grow up in LA, you grew up in
grew up in Utah.
Utah.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
you guys had a different upbringing when
Yeah.
everything started. And I mean, you're so far from that spectrum where you are now.
Yeah, I think that it actually rooted back to then. I was raised Mormon.
Right.
In Salt Lake City, Utah, very tight bubble. And when Garrett and I were going through our trauma, that's when we decided to leave the religion and the church. And the whispers were like, oh my God, and their friends are posting on Facebook, what's wrong with them? I can't believe them.
Lost their mind. They're into
and
witchcraft, I'm sure, like all the things.
Our whole family's like ostracized us. Like it was so bad and
Wow.
painful. And we're at our lowest low with like literally nothing. And that was the hardest shit to get through. Because
I can only imagine.
We didn't have the success we had today. We were literally at our lowest point, and our friends and family that we thought were on our side were like, they're crazy. And that actually forced Garrett and I to come together because we felt in a sense like, wow, like our closest friends are like talking shit online and all these things, like whatever. So we kind of came together with each other.
You became a team.
Yeah, like we were like, we're out, we're gonna build our own thing.
And that's probably kept you a little bit of your glue together for all these years. Is that?
Oh, I'm sure.
That beginning of how you started. You know,
Right.
I mean, you both like said, "Hold my hand, let's jump."
Yeah.
And like we'll just deal with it. I mean, now he's like tatted head to toe right
Yeah,
now.
I know,
right?
isn't that funny? Like if you would have seen Garrett when
I know that wasn't a normal
Yeah.
thing before. Yeah.
we had actually when I met him, he had a really ugly tattoo on his arm, and we were in Utah, and I was like, oh, he's a bad boy. I like him.
He's a bad boy Mormon.
Yeah, right.
I love it. I mean, this is see, that to me is where you like took that initial step and it's
Yeah.
like, well, what can you do to me now? I've already hit my low. I've
Right.
hit the lowest point in my life. You can't take anything from me because I already know what rock bottom feels like.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now you've created this empire, this massive like wealth where it's just normal for you. I mean, like I walked into your house about a month ago. We were there for the mastermind, and I mean, well, I was there for your podcast too. But I mean, it's like a parking lot of just beautiful cars in the front. I mean, I love it. To me,
Yeah.
this is something where you didn't limit yourself. Something inside of you must have said, Danielle, we are here for more, and it's okay to dream really big. Material things are great, but experiences, meeting other people who are also on that same level, and you didn't quiet that voice. Instead, you turned it up and you let it lead.
Yeah.
Right?
I honestly feel like, and you can call it intuition, you can call it God, you can call it whatever, but for me, I remember thinking when we were losing everything, like having a clear, distinct voice that was like, you're meant for more. And I honestly believe that we are given like glimpse of like who we are, and you just have to have the courage to believe it. You're like, oh shit, okay. And then you got to reverse engineer and do the steps to get there. So everybody has a natural knowing, right?
They do.
And I just felt early on that I was like, I'm gonna do some big things. Like I know that's kind of scary to accept, and I'm still working towards that, right? And so that's why when I'm stagnant, I'm depressed because I'm not living to the fullest potential of who I am now and who I can become.
Absolutely.
So that always keeps me driving. I always say like, you got to clear out the noise, and you really got to like listen to that, whatever that voice is speaking to you, to kind of navigate your life.
Yeah, I think almost every woman that sat there said, I look at that future self that I know it exists and I reverse engineer it, because I would be doing myself a disservice if I did not listen or at least honor that vision of myself, of where I see myself going.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably see a bigger version of yourself emerging right now, don't you?
Yeah, here's the thing is I get so excited that I'm like, oh, I'm going to go do this, this, and this. And I think the biggest thing is I always have to say, start with where you're at.
Yeah.
Because you can see the bigger vision, but you're almost like, there were some things I wanted to do this year in business. And I was like, that might be a distraction because I have so much other shit that I could clean up and that will then support this bigger vision. So I think you have to have a eye-opening look of like, where am I at right now? And you have to start there, because if you try to jump, you'll like be like, oh, see, it wasn't meant to happen. I wasn't supposed to be the
and
bigger
then failure, imposter syndrome, all that stuff will come up.
So it's like, think of it as more like tactical. It's like, okay, I'm feeling fired up. I can see the bigger version of me. Where am I at right now? And like I said, when I started this, I'm like, where am I at right now? I'm a hairstylist. What can a hairstylist do? Literally.
I love your story though, because you're a hairstylist.
Yeah.
You know, I was a lawyer before, you know, I mean, it's different, right?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's just different, but you went and took that and made it into an 8-figure business.
But this is what people are always looking for their purpose, only to underestimate the talents and skills that they have right now.
Ooh.
And so I always say, like, what tools do you have right in front of you right now that you could use? You're a singer? Cool. Maybe you start by creating an online singing program for children. Like, you never know where it's going to go. And people say, oh, like, no, I'm too good for that because I'm like an opera singer. And then you're like, well, you're not an opera singer right now.
Right.
So why don't we look
in the shower you might be, but
like,
not right now.
Not right now. So what could you could maybe sell programs to children or go impact children. Like, look at the tools that you have in front of you right now that you probably are disregarding because maybe they're easy. You don't realize how good you are. And so you're like, you write them off as not something that you can have success in.
Do you think everybody can have success?
I do. I do.
What stops them?
I honestly think the only thing that stops them is themselves.
And what belief are they having right now that they could probably bust through with your help?
What belief are they having right now?
Yeah, that's stopping them from like feeling that they can be. I mean, you were a hairdresser.
Right.
Let's, you've said it more than, but look what you did with it. And you weren't given anything. You went and worked for everything you had.
Yeah, I think too, though, I was raised in my parents were entrepreneurs. I was raised in like a very nice home.
You think that helped?
I believe that helped create a standard. Because Garrett was not raised with hardly anything. And in the beginning of our marriage, he would almost get upset, like, what do you want from me? And I was like, I have a standard. And I was like, and I'm not going to apologize for it. And it wasn't like Garrett wasn't at my standard. It was like I saw him as like past my standard. So he was playing at a lower version of him. So for me, I always knew I would have success in life. And I believe that what happened with me and Garrett losing everything, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Right? So sometimes we're so comfortable that we don't see the opportunity.
Yes.
And that's kind of where our story started. But I also know too, like our last house, right? Had the dream cars, the dream house, all this. And I said, okay, giving it back to God because I know the power of becoming the next version of me.
And you knew that you had to let go of something for something new to come in.
Exactly. I see so many people that I'm like, you just need to let go of that ranch. You just need to let go of that car. That's nice. But it's almost like you have to let that version or that piece of identity of you die. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So the new one can emerge.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's what you're doing now.
Yeah. It's scary.
Well, of course. And if it wasn't scary, then we'd be doing it, it would be so easy. Yeah. Right. And then, but if you knew that level of you, that next, I always feel like an identity shift has to happen before a quantum leap happens. Like before you propel yourself into that next version of who you are. Who you are now sees the world through this lens.
Right.
And so the next version of you is going to see a different version of life because you have experience, but you also have data on what you want and what you don't want anymore, right? Because like if you came to Miami, you weren't going to live a certain way. You were going to live a certain lifestyle when you came here, right?
Sometimes though too, to see the bigger picture, you got to take a little step back.
Yeah.
But you're like, I don't care. This is just a period of time. I might take a step back and rebuild my business and my company. Yeah. So what? I'm going to do that for
That
a year.
doesn't make you a failure.
No, I'm going to do that in my business to set up the next 10 years in my business, right? So to me, like that's what really defines success too, is course correcting along the way. If you're like, okay, I'm kind of feeling stagnant, then you got to take a leap of faith. I don't care if you feel like it's a step backwards. You'll have people who live out in I'm just saying, like in Utah, you buy a home for like super cheap compared to Miami, right? But you can get massive acres and all these things. And you're like, well, then you're stuck in this story because you can't get that in Miami. And you're unwilling to come to Miami and play small to become the bigger version of you. You can't buy this in Miami. So you can be stuck in this identity of, this giant house in the middle of nowhere, but you're unwilling to look like a failure to rebuild.
Yeah, and that's actually almost the secret to the next level of success that someone needs to have, right?
Yeah, you kind of got to let something die.
I love it. Let something die. So maybe all of you listeners today are going to maybe go do an assessment in your life. What is something that you can let something die and, allow yourself to, everybody has an upgrade inside of them right now. I believe even when you get to that next level of potential, there's always going to be another version of yourself that's going to want to come through because it will never be enough. Like,
Right.
not that you're greedy, but it'll just never, because you always know there's more. And when you strive for more, the more comes, right? But you have to
Right.
listen to it and do something about it.
You know what the crazy thing is, when I'm coaching, whether it's women or entrepreneurs or hairstylists or whatever, I always say, like, we have these goals that we're like, oh, in 5 years I'm going to get this, in 10 years I'm going to do this. I'm like, who made out that timeline?
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Yeah, I'm like, why don't you, if that's your goal, why don't you actually entertain what it looks like to get there? And oftentimes you can get there a lot quicker than you think. But you limit yourself and say, oh, I'll get that when my kids are out of the house, or I'll do that when this happens. And then you get there and you're like, I don't even want to be married. My kids are out of the house, and shit. Why didn't I just try to entertain that option right now?
Sooner, right? Because just because you have a 3-year-old doesn't mean you're going to stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah, like you prioritize and figure out where to put your time and energy.
If you lost everything again today, do you think you could do it all over again?
Yeah. Once you've done it, that's why a lot of entrepreneurs self-sabotage. They get bored and they're like, oh, I'll just fucking burn this business because I know I can rebuild it.
Right. Literally, let's do something else because I got bored doing what I'm doing.
Right? They're like, okay.
But you already know that you're going to be wealthy and successful because you have the formula within inside of you. You have that identity to do it.
Yeah. It's always like, don't worry about the why. I was coaching with...
I love that because I say that too.
Yeah. I was coaching with a few amazing people this year, and I'd be like, what about this? What about this? And there's like, that doesn't matter. And I was like, damn, okay.
The why and the how. I mean, just let that go and not so much the how, but or the when. Just allow those things to not be the driving factors.
Exactly. You'll figure it out. Trial and error.
Yeah. And I think that being able to figure it out, especially when you hit your rock bottom, is I think that is your GPS on everything, because I already know, doesn't matter what happens. Yeah. I'm going to figure it out.
Well, you know what people don't understand about successful people is they think there's like a magic pill. They're like, well, you just give me the formula or just give me the blueprint and then I'll just execute that. And you're like, it's not that easy. And also, if you're unwilling to do the little things in your life, in your marriage, in your business, what makes you think you're ready for me to hand you off a blueprint?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, people think it's just all strategy.
Yeah.
When it's really identity work and becoming and being
exactly.
able to, it is, right? Like, it's just, a lot of women who are married that want to start their businesses, they have the safety net, which is their husband. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, if you just didn't have that safety net, who would you be going out there? Because as a single mom, my rock bottom was sitting there facing me. I had to start all over again. I'm like, I only had one option.
Exactly.
This was going to work. That was the only option. There was no plan B. Everything, we're on the boat. We're off. This was it. And that's where you guys were too, right? You left your Mormon family. You're like, peace out. We're off, you know, and you're like, everybody left us. We have to make it work now, right?
That's it. That's how I started. You got to this place where I didn't know I was going to stay married. Oh. So that's why, back when we were losing everything, I've shared this before, so I don't mind sharing it. Gary was having an emotional affair with another woman. He was essentially dating somebody else. And so we were losing everything. Plus I was 9 months pregnant with our second baby. It was rock bottom. So for me, I was just in this place where I'm like, I got nothing to lose. Yep. And I have standards in life, and I will make this work. And
that's where the Wells Fargo bank account came in, right? Keep going.
I just say that's what pushed me is I was like, I don't ever want to be in this situation for myself again. I want to be in a relationship because I want to be there. I don't want to have to financially at some level depend. And Garrett, yes, he does outproduce me. Don't get me wrong.
Of course.
And I like that. I have no problem.
I want my man too.
I was
I want you to provide and protect and take care of me. Buy me the things. Take care of me. I don't have to stress about it. Yeah.
But I still want success for myself.
And I want my own stuff too. Yeah. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the way to go. And I think and a lot of people are like, oh, you really? I don't want to be no one's sugar mama. Yeah. I don't want to take care of my man. I would have to respect him. In that sense.
I don't want to feel guilty when I go shopping.
No, right? Because we like to shop. Because we like nice things. Anyway, this is awesome having you on. I know that you have to go somewhere soon, but any last words you want to tell the women who are looking to you and seeing they're seeing the final pretty product, but this wasn't always like this, and just one thing you can tell them maybe where they're stuck. I know a lot of them make a lot of money, but maybe they can't balance the husband, the kids, and the career and the femininity that they have in their life.
I think you just have to make a conscious effort to do whatever you want to create. So if you want to become more feminine or whatever it is, what are the actions that you have to do to make that happen for yourself? And then the other thing, what are your goals? Are you being realistic about where your goals are? Maybe they're sooner than what you think. So I think it's just, I really believe that if there's something in your life that's bugging you or you're tolerating, you have the power to change it. You really do. And I think that as women, we get so emotional and so irritated and so mad. And when you kind of step out of your feelings for a minute and you're like, why is this my story? And how can I change this? And truthfully, that's been my key to success is if I'm not even if I'm mad at Garrett or something, then I'm 50% of the relationship. So what do I need to change with me to create the outcome that I'm looking for? Yeah. So it's what do you want in life? Reverse engineer it to get there. And that's how you really create the life of your dreams. And it is a constant hustle and work. So even amongst me and Garrett being really good right now, we still fighting all the shit and we're still going through marriage. So understand that it's always a working progress. But my biggest advice would be like, figure out what you want and work towards it.
I love that. I mean, it's a journey. It's not the destination with this, right? It's like not the perfect marriage. It's like working together to go on the journey towards what you want, right? And so, ladies, raise your standards. This is number one. Raise your standards. Do not settle. Do not stay somewhere that doesn't feel good, because you have an option. Just like many of the guests that we've heard, you don't have to stay stuck, and you can keep moving, and whatever you want, you can create for yourself. You just have to decide if you want to stay there or go somewhere else and take the action to get there. So anyways, Danielle, thank you so much.
No,
How can everybody find you, and what's going on?
So you can just check out my personal page is Danielle K. White on Instagram. My hair extension system that I created is called Natural Beaded Rose. And then I have a hairline called Isla, which is named after one of my babies, Isla Hand Tied Hair. So you can check out any of those pages pretty much on Instagram, social media. I have a blog if you want to see a little bit of everything. It's just DanielleKWhite.com.
And I'm also getting a little, an iron, a 3 roller.
I got tools and products.
Products, and I'm going to show you guys how to use them.
I love it.
All right. Thank you so much for being here.
All right. Thanks for having me.